Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our news for today. As part of the systematic policy on targeting national figures, armed terrorist groups assassinated yesterday in Rukn-Eddin area in Damascus Major Colonel Pilot Abdullah al-Khalidi. The martyr was born in Aleppo in 1953. He is married and has 4 children. Pilot al-Khalidi is considered a highly qualified expert in his field, and his assassination serves only the interests of Syria's enemies and the Israeli entity. An army unit today clashed with an armed terrorist group who were perpetrating acts of sabotage and cutting off roads in Al-Mariya in their Zor suburbs. An official source told Sana that the clashes resulted in confiscating a BKC machine gun and a large quantity of ammunition. A pickup truck equipped with Doshka machine gun was seized. The so-called Muhammad's Grandchildren Battalion, Umar ibn al-Khattab regiment, was written on the truck. The authorities intercepted at dawn today an armed terrorist group who tried to attack the inhabitants of Tel Dara village in Salamiya in Hama suburbs. An official source told Sana's correspondent that the terrorists were riding 7 cars, some of which were provided with Doshka machine guns. They tried to enter Tel Dara and assault citizens using RPG shells. However, they were repelled by the authorities, who inflicted on them heavy losses. In Aleppo suburbs, more than 25 terrorists were killed, and several others were wounded following clashes between 2 armed groups who were fighting over stolen materials after they ransacked citizens' houses and properties in Azaz. An armed terrorist group has detonated a booby-trapped car in Al-Hajar al-Aswad in Damascus suburbs yesterday. The explosion, which occurred in a highly populated area, has led to the martyrdom of more than 10 people, including children and sanitation workers. 30 people were injured, some of them seriously. Iranian Foreign Ministry spokesman Mehmanparast has affirmed that Western countries are not willing to provide a positive atmosphere in order to reach a peaceful solution to the crisis in Syria through national dialogue among all the components of the Syrian people. In a press conference held in Tehran today, Mehmanparast said that the thugs of those countries inside Syria continue to commit terrorist acts, adding that foreign states are set on realizing special political objectives in the Middle East. Therefore, they seek to foil the efforts of UN representatives like Kofi Annan and al-Akhdar al-Ibrahimi. What should happen in Syria, he pointed out, is the reforms that the Syrian people look forward to and cannot be realized except by the people themselves and through national mechanisms away from foreign intervention in Syrian internal affairs. On the other hand, Mehmanparast condemned the recent Israeli aggression on Sudan, which occurred amid suspicious international silence. He said it is necessary for the UN Security Council to take an appropriate and deterrent measures against the Israeli recurrent aggression on the countries of the region. Russian expert and university professor Sergei Voronin affirmed that the armed Syrian opposition is quite determined to committing acts of violence. In an interview with Russia Today TV channel, Voronin pointed out that the war launched against Syria is supported by the USA and some Gulf countries, in addition to Al-Qaeda organization. He added that the continuing violence in Syria may lead to a regional crisis, calling for putting an end to terrorism in Syria. In occupied Palestine, Israeli warplanes continued for the 9th consecutive day their air raids against Gaza Strip. Israeli jets attacked Palestinian houses and farms in Abbasan, east of Khan Yunis. Occupation artillery also shelled areas south of Gaza, causing heavy material damages. At least 10 Palestinians were killed and more than 15 wounded since the start of Israeli air raids last Monday. In an attempt to suppress the opposition peaceful movement in Bahrain, authorities declared that demonstrations, gatherings and public events are prohibited. Bahraini Interior Minister Rashid bin Abdullah al-Khalifa affirmed that any demonstration or public gathering will be dealt with as being unlicensed and legal procedures will be taken against organizers and participants alike. On the other hand, the opposition condemned the decision and considered it illegal since it contradicts articles of the Constitution which preserves the right to express opinion and organize demonstrations. As chaos increasingly spreads in Libya since the NATO invasion, Libyan authorities affirmed that the city of Bani Walid is no longer under the state's control. Libyan Defense Minister Osama al-Juwaili said that the gunmen have assumed control of the city, adding that they occupied a checkpoint at the city's main entrance and prevented refugees from returning to their homes. He pointed out that the living conditions are rapidly deteriorating. Finally, Superstorm Sandy has claimed at least 16 lives, prompting U.S. President Barack Obama to declare New York and New Jersey along the U.S. East Coast areas of major disaster. Millions of people on the eastern United States awoke to flooded homes, fallen trees, and widespread power outages caused by the giant storm which swamped New York City's subway system and submerged streets in Manhattan's financial district. Sandy, through an unprecedented 13-foot surge of seawater at New York, flooding streets, airport runways, and even sections of the city's subway's lines. A massive power outage also occurred, affecting areas beyond the planned power shutdown in Lower Manhattan. Meanwhile, all major cities along the East Coast, from Boston and New York down to Philadelphia and Baltimore and Washington, have suspended public transportation and closed schools and public buildings. With this, we end our news bulletin for today. For more information about Syria and the region and to view our news bulletin again, you can visit our website in English, syriaonline.sy.